Welcome, dear friend. You are here now, and you are safe. The day is done, the noise has faded, and this moment belongs only to you. Whatever has weighed on your heart, whatever thoughts still chase through your mind, you may set them down for a while. Tonight, you do not need to solve, to plan, or to strive. Tonight, you only need to rest. And as you rest, let me tell you stories. Gentle stories of metta, of loving kindness. Metta is so without conditions. It is the quiet wish. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. It does not cling. It does not demand. It does not ask for anything in return. Like the warmth of the sun or the glow of the moon, it shines freely on all beings, everywhere. Perhaps as you listen, you will begin to feel that light within you. Imagine a flame in your chest, small at first, but steady. With each breath, it grows warmer. With each exhale, it spreads outward, touching your loved ones, touching strangers, touching even those who have hurt you. This is metta, the heart expanding until it has room for the whole world. The Buddha once taught that just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, so too should we nurture loving kindness toward all beings. Tonight, you will hear 12 stories where metta is alive, in animals, in sages, in kings, in humble villagers. Some stories will show how kindness calms anger. Others will reveal how generosity heals wounds, or how love softens the hardest of hearts. You may not remember every word. You may even drift into sleep as the stories unfold. That is perfectly fine. Metta does not need to be remembered with the mind. It only needs to be felt with the heart. So let yourself relax. Let the stories carry you. They will weave a soft blanket of peace around you. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it go gently. Again, inhale calm. Exhale tension. With each breath in, feel the warmth of kindness. With each breath out, let that kindness spread outward. Breathing in, you are cared for. Breathing out, you are free. The night is calm. The stars shimmer softly, and one by one, the stories will arrive like lanterns glowing in the dark, guiding you deeper into peace. Stay with me, dear friend, for each story is a gift, and together they form a path of kindness, of compassion, of love without end. And so, let us begin. The first story awaits. The Buddha and the Angry Elephant, showing us how loving kindness can calm even the fiercest rage. The Buddha and the Angry Elephant. In the ancient city of Rajagaha, the streets were alive with merchants, children, and wandering monks. Yet beneath the hum of daily life, tension stirred. For not everyone welcomed the Buddha's teachings. Some feared his wisdom, others envied his following, and among them was Devadatta, a cousin of the Buddha who was consumed by jealousy. One day, in his bitterness, Devadatta devised a cruel plan. He went to the royal stables where the king's great elephant, Nalagiri, was kept. Nalagiri was fierce, untamed, and feared throughout the land. When angered, his strength was like a storm, and even the bravest men fled before him. Devadatta ordered the keepers to intoxicate the elephant with liquor, and when Nalagiri's mind was clouded and wild, they loosed him into the streets. When the Buddha comes to beg for alms, Devadatta thought, the raging elephant will trample him. None will dare follow him. After that, word spread quickly. The mad elephant is loose. Run, save yourselves. People scattered, shutters slammed, and the once busy streets emptied in terror. But the Buddha did not turn back. With calm steps, he entered the street, his bowl in hand, his gaze serene. Beside him, monks trembled, begging him to take another path. But the Buddha's voice was gentle. Do not fear. No creature is born with hatred. Even anger can be soothed by loving kindness. Ahead, Nalagiri thundered down the road, his eyes bloodshot, his trunk raised, his ears flapping with rage. Dust rose beneath his heavy feet, and the ground shook as he charged forward. The crowd cried out, "He will be crushed! Save him!" But the Buddha stood still. He did not run, he did not shout, he did not resist. Instead, he raised his hand in blessing and radiated the boundless warmth of Metta. May you be happy, Great One. May you be free from pain. May you be at peace. The energy of loving kindness flowed from him like sunlight, reaching the maddened elephant. Step by step, Nalagiri slowed. His rage faltered, his trunk lowered, his breath eased. When at last he reached the Buddha, he bowed low before him, placing his massive head at the teacher's feet. The street fell silent. Where moments before there had been terror, now there was peace. The Buddha gently touched Nalagiri's head. Even the fiercest anger can be soothed by kindness. Fear is calmed not by force, but by love. The people of Rajagaha wept with relief and bowed deeply. Even Nalagiri returned quietly to the stables, no longer feared, but remembered as the elephant calmed by compassion. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, "Monks, hatred cannot be conquered by hatred. Hatred is conquered only by love. This is the eternal law." The monks bowed, their hearts filled with awe. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we face anger with others or even within ourselves and try to fight it with more anger? But the Buddha reminds us, when fire meets fire, both burn. Only water can cool the flame. Loving kindness is that water. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it gently. Again, inhale kindness, exhale anger. With each breath in, imagine your heart glowing warm as sunlight. With each breath out, imagine that light softening the anger of all beings. Breathing in, you are calm. Breathing out, you are at peace. Perhaps tonight, you carry some anger toward another or toward yourself. Let this story remind you, you do not need to fight it. Breathe gently. Let kindness fill your heart and watch as anger fades like a storm dissolving into clear skies. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you hold peace. Breathing out, you share peace. The disciples who heard this parable carried it always. When confronted with anger, they remembered Nalagiri, the fierce elephant bowed by kindness. And in their own lives, they chose love over hate, peace over conflict. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine a quiet street. An elephant, once wild with rage, kneels calmly at the Buddha's feet. The air is still, the danger has passed, and only peace remains. In that peace, you rest. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the second tale, the story of a mother's loving kindness, showing us that the purest love is the love that asks for nothing in return. The loving kindness of a mother. Long ago, in a small village nestled between green hills and winding rivers, there lived a poor woman and her only child. Their house was little more than a hut of wood and straw. Their meals simple and scarce. Yet within those walls was a treasure greater than gold, the boundless love of a mother for her child. From dawn until dusk, the mother worked tirelessly. She tilled the fields under the scorching sun, carried water from the distant well, gathered firewood from the forest. Her hands grew rough, her back bent with labor, but she never complained. Each time she looked upon her child, her heart softened and strength welled up within her. She whispered each night before sleep, "May you be safe, my little one. May you be happy. May your life be free from suffering." Her love was not a bargain, not a chain, not a desire for reward. It was love as steady as the earth beneath her feet, unconditional, unwavering, endless. One year, the skies grew dry. The rains did not fall, and the soil cracked beneath the heat. Famine spread across the land. Families packed their belongings and fled in search of food. but the mother could not. Her child was too young to travel far. Instead, she stayed, gathering whatever roots and wild berries she could find, cooking thin soups from scraps of grain. Often, there was not enough for both. Quietly, she placed the food before her child and said with a smile, "I am not hungry, my dear. You eat." Her body weakened, but her spirit glowed with strength. At night, though hunger gnawed at her, she held the child close, whispering softly, "Sleep now, little one. You are safe with me." Her sacrifice was silent, but it was vast. She endured suffering with joy because her heart overflowed with love. Years passed, and the child grew strong. One day, remembering the hard times, he asked, "Mother, how did you survive those days? You gave me all the food. You worked without rest. Did you not suffer?" The mother smiled, her eyes gentle with truth. "Yes, I suffered. My body ached. My stomach burned with hunger, but my heart was full. Love is a nourishment greater than bread. My joy was in your safety. That joy was enough." The Buddha, recalling such love, told his disciples, "Just as a mother protects her only child, even at the risk of her own life, so should one cultivate a boundless heart of loving kindness toward all beings." This is metta, the love of a mother, expanded beyond family, beyond tribe, beyond measure. It is love that shelters all, as the earth shelters all, asking nothing in return. Dear friend, this story is also for us. Perhaps you have known such love, the arms of a parent, the care of a friend, or even the kindness of a stranger who asked nothing back. Perhaps you too have given such love, quietly, without expectation. This is metta. This is the seed of awakening that lives in every heart. Take a slow, deep breath in and let it out gently. Again, inhale love. Exhale fear. With each breath in, imagine the warmth of a mother's embrace. With each breath out, imagine that embrace expanding, reaching friends, strangers, even those who trouble you. Breathing in, you are cared for. Breathing out, you care for the world. Perhaps tonight, you feel lonely, or uncertain, or small. Let this story remind you, you are held in the boundless embrace of life itself. You are safe. You are precious. And within you is the same capacity to love without end. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you are loved. Breathing out, you share love. The disciples who heard this teaching carried it always. When they practiced metta meditation, they began with the image of a mother's love. From that tender beginning, they extended their love outward, first to themselves, then to friends, then to strangers, and finally even to enemies. And in this way, their hearts grew vast, wide as the sky. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine yourself as a child, safe in your mother's arms. Her warmth surrounds you, steady and unconditional. In that embrace, the world is gentle, and you are home. And from that home, your love expands outward, endless and free. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the third tale, the story of the monk and the bandit, teaching us how loving kindness can soften even the hardest heart. The Monk and the Bandit. Long ago, deep in the forests of northern India, there lived a notorious bandit. His name was Angulimala, and he was feared in every village. With a cruel heart and swift hands, he robbed travelers on the road and left sorrow wherever he passed. Mothers warned their children, "Stay close, for Angulimala roams these woods." Merchants whispered prayers before journeys, hoping not to cross his path. The bandit's cruelty was great, but beneath it was a restless mind. He had been deceived by false teachers, told that power and fear would bring him greatness. Yet though he grew feared, he never knew peace. His nights were haunted, his heart always burning. One day, the Buddha set out on a journey through that very forest. The villagers cried, "Do not go. The bandit lurks there, and none who meet him return alive." But the Buddha's voice was calm. "I will go." For even the darkest heart can be touched by light. As he walked the narrow path, Angulimala appeared. His eyes blazed. His sword glistened. "Stop!" he shouted. "Your life is mine." But the Buddha did not flee. He continued walking, step by step, his face serene, his body at ease. Confused and enraged, Angulimala ran toward him. Yet no matter how fast he ran, he could not catch the Buddha, who walked calmly ahead. Breathless, the bandit cried out, "Stop, holy man! Stop!" The Buddha turned and said gently, "I have already stopped, Angulimala. I have stopped harming, stopped hating, stopped hurting. But you have not stopped." The words pierced the bandit's heart. His sword trembled in his hands. Never had anyone spoken to him without fear, without anger. Never had anyone looked upon him with such calm. The Buddha's gaze was soft, filled with metta. He raised his hand in blessing and said, "Within you, too, is the capacity for kindness. Lay down the sword. Choose peace. The path you walk brings only suffering, for others and for yourself. But there is another way." Angulimala fell to his knees. tears streaming from his eyes. The fire of rage that had long consumed him was quenched by the Buddha's compassion. Throwing down his sword, he bowed deeply. "Teach me, Blessed One. Free me from this torment." From that day forward, Angulimala left behind his life of cruelty. He became a monk, practicing kindness, walking barefoot from village to village, asking only for alms and offering blessings in return. The people, once terrified, slowly came to see his transformation. The Buddha told his disciples, "No one is beyond the reach of metta." Hatred cannot be ended by hatred. Hatred is ended only by love. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we believe that someone is beyond change, that their anger is too deep, their cruelty too great? Yet the Buddha reminds us, even the hardest heart can soften in the warmth of compassion. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale kindness. Exhale judgment. With each breath in, imagine the Buddha's calm, steady gaze. With each breath out, imagine anger melting into peace. Breathing in, you are calm. Breathing out, you are kind. Perhaps tonight, you carry anger towards someone who has hurt you, or perhaps toward yourself. Let this story remind you, you are not fixed, nor are they. Change is possible. Healing is possible. Compassion makes it so. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you soften. Breathing out, you are free. The disciples who heard this parable carried it always. When they faced enemies, they remembered the bandit who became a monk. When they faced their own failings, they remembered that change is always possible. And so they lived with hearts more forgiving, more kind. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine a forest path beneath the stars. The bandit's sword lies upon the ground, forgotten. The monk walks barefoot, peaceful, carrying only the bowl of compassion. And in that quiet, you too find peace. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the fourth tale, the story of the Bodhisattva tree, a tree of compassion whose shade and fruit sheltered all beings without distinction. The kindness of the Bodhisattva tree. Long ago, in the heart of a fertile valley, there grew a mighty tree. Its trunk was thick and strong. Its branches stretched wide, and its leaves shimmered green beneath the sun. To the people and animals of the valley, it was more than a tree. It was a home, a shelter, and a friend. They called it the Bodhisattva tree, for it seemed to live not only for itself, but for all beings. Birds built nests in its branches, safe from the wind. Monkeys leapt and played from limb to limb, their laughter echoing in the air. Cows rested in its shade during the heat of day, while travelers, weary from their journeys, stopped to drink from the stream that flowed at its roots. The tree gave without asking. Its fruit was sweet and plentiful, feeding the hungry. Its leaves fell gently, enriching the soil for crops to grow. Its wood was strong, yet it never withheld its shade, never ceased its giving. People said, "This tree is like a mother to the valley. Without it, we would suffer greatly." And they spoke with reverence, bowing their heads whenever they passed. One summer, the king of a distant land heard of the great tree. Desiring its fine wood for his palace, he sent soldiers to cut it down. Axes were raised, saws prepared. The animals shrieked, the people cried, but none dared oppose the king's command. As the first blade bit into the bark, the tree groaned. Its roots trembled, its branches shook. But then, from deep within, a voice arose. The tree spoke, not with anger, but with compassion. "Do not weep, my children. If my body must become beams and planks, let it be so. May the palace built from my wood give shelter. May those who rest beneath its roof know safety and peace. My joy is in giving, even if I give my very life." The soldiers froze in awe. They had never heard such words. Even the king, hearing the tale, was struck with wonder. He came himself to see the tree, and when he stood before it, he bowed. "How can I cut down one who gives so freely?" he asked. "This tree is more noble than any king." And so he ordered his men to lay down their axes. From that day, the valley was protected by royal decree, and the tree lived on, honored by all. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, "In that life, I was the Bodhisattva tree. Even then, I gave without fear, without anger, without asking. Know this, monks, true metta is like the tree. It gives shade to all, without question. It does not choose friend or foe. It does not ask who is worthy. It simply gives." The monks bowed deeply, their hearts filled with reverence. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we hold tightly to what is ours, fearing to lose it? How often do we give only to those we like, or only when we expect return? The Bodhisattva tree reminds us, loving kindness does not measure or calculate. It flows naturally, like branches stretching toward the sun. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale generosity. Exhale grasping. With each breath in, imagine yourself as the tree, tall, steady, rooted in kindness. With each breath out, imagine your shade extending, cooling, and comforting all beings. Breathing in, you are strong. Breathing out, you are generous. Perhaps tonight you feel weary, as though you have little left to give. Let this story remind you, giving does not always mean great acts. Even a smile, a kind word, a patient silence is like the shade of the tree, gentle, yet life-giving. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you are rooted. Breathing out, you are free. The disciples who heard this parable remembered it always. When they gave, they did not measure. When they cared, they did not question. They became like trees themselves, steady, generous, and filled with metta. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine a vast tree beneath the night sky. Its branches arch above you. Its shade cools you. Its fruit nourishes you. You rest at its roots, safe and at peace, held in its embrace of endless kindness. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the fifth tale, the story of the Buddha calming a quarrel, teaching us how loving kindness can extinguish even the fiercest flames of conflict. The Buddha calms a quarrel. Long ago, in the land of Kosala, two neighboring clans lived side by side. For generations, they shared rivers, fields, and forests. At first, they lived in harmony, exchanging grain for cloth and helping one another in times of need. But as years passed, small disagreements grew into quarrels. One season, the river that flowed between their lands grew shallow. Both clans claimed the remaining water as their own. The farmers argued, "Without water, our crops will wither." The others shouted back, "Without water, our families will starve." Soon, anger hardened into hatred. Words turned to threats, and threats to weapons. The two clans gathered at the riverbank, armed with sticks and spears. Children cried, women wept, but the men stood ready for battle. News of the quarrel reached the Buddha, who was traveling nearby. Seeing the suffering that was about to unfold, he set out for the river. His disciples followed, fearful of the crowd's fury. When the Buddha arrived, the two clans were shouting across the river. The air was heavy with rage. Yet when the people saw him, silence fell. His presence was calm, his steps measured, his gaze steady. He walked to the center of the riverbank, between the two sides. Raising his hand, he spoke softly, but his words carried like the wind. "Tell me, What is more precious, water or life? The people murmured, life, of course. And what is more rare, grain or peace? Again, they answered, peace. The Buddha nodded. Then why do you prepare to throw away life, to destroy peace for the sake of water and grain? These things can be found again. But once life is taken, it cannot return. Once peace is broken, it leaves scars that last for generations. The clans lowered their weapons, but their anger still smoldered. The Buddha sat upon the ground and said, listen to me and breathe. He closed his eyes, radiating metta. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from anger. Slowly, the disciples joined, their hearts filled with loving kindness. The energy spread across the river, softening the people's hearts. Some began to weep, realizing the foolishness of their rage. Parents embraced their children, ashamed that they had nearly plunged them into bloodshed. At last, both sides laid down their arms. They bowed to the Buddha, saying, you have turned us from anger to peace. What water could not give us, your kindness has given harmony. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, quarrels arise from grasping. When we cling to what is small, we lose sight of what is great. Hatred does not cease by hatred. Hatred ceases only by love. The monks bowed deeply, carrying this truth in their hearts. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we fight over small things, possessions, words, pride, forgetting the preciousness of peace? How often do we cling to being right, even when it breaks the bonds of love? The Buddha reminds us, peace is greater than victory, kindness greater than being right. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale peace, exhale anger. With each breath in, imagine a cool river flowing gently. With each breath out, imagine weapons falling, hands unclenching, heart softening. Breathing in, you are calm. Breathing out, you are kind. Perhaps tonight, you recall quarrels in your own life. Let this story remind you, you need not win every argument. Sometimes, the greatest victory is to lay down the sword, to choose love over pride. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you forgive. Breathing out, you are free. The disciples who heard this parable carried it always. When conflict arose, they remembered the river and the clans who chose peace. They too became peacemakers, living gently, calming quarrels with metta. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine yourself by a quiet river. The shouting has ceased. The weapons are gone, Only the sound of water remains, flowing softly under the moon. In that stillness, you rest, safe and at peace. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the sixth tale, the story of the deer who showed compassion, teaching us that even the most vulnerable beings can embody the strength of loving kindness. The deer who showed compassion. Long ago, in a wide forest where rivers shone like silver and tall grass swayed in the wind, there lived a herd of deer. Among them was a stag with golden fur, graceful and strong, known not only for his beauty, but for his kindness. All the creatures of the forest admired him, for he cared for the weak, guided the young, and lived gently upon the earth. One day, hunters from the nearby kingdom entered the forest. They set traps, tied ropes, and dug pits to capture the deer. Fear spread through the herd. At night, they whispered, "We cannot escape. If one of us is caught, the hunters will return until none are left." The golden stag gathered them together. His voice was calm, though sorrow lay in his eyes. "We cannot fight men with weapons, but we can choose compassion. Let us go to the king himself and offer a way of mercy." The herd trembled, but trusted their leader. And so, the stag walked boldly to the palace gates. The guards were astonished to see a deer enter the city without fear. The king, hearing the commotion, came forth. The stag bowed low and spoke, "Great king, your hunters kill us without end. My herd lives in terror, knowing each day may be our last. But life is precious, to us as to you. Therefore, I come to plead for mercy. Allow us to live, and in return, I will offer myself or one of my herd each day, so your palace may have meat without cruelty. Let the rest live free." The king was amazed at the stag's courage and compassion. Though he had hunted all his life, he saw nobility in the creature before him. "Very well," he said. "Each day, one deer shall come willingly. No more traps, no more slaughter. I give my word." And so it was. Each day, a deer would walk calmly to the palace gates, offering its life. The herd lived in peace, knowing their suffering was shared with dignity. One morning, it was the turn of a young doe, heavy with unborn life. She came to the golden stag in tears. "Great king of deer, my time has come. But if I go, my child will never see the sun. Grant me mercy. Let me wait until I have given birth. Then I will go without fear." The stag's heart ached. He could not bear to see two lives lost. Without hesitation, he said, "Stay with your child. I will go in your place." That day, he walked to the palace, his golden fur shining in the light. The king was astonished. "Why have you come, O king of deer? Today is not your turn." The stag bowed low. A mother was chosen, but she carries life within her. If she dies, two will perish. Let her live to raise her young. Take me instead. The king was moved to tears. Never have I seen such compassion, even among men. From this day forward, no deer shall be harmed in my kingdom. You and your herd are free. The stag returned to his forest, and the herd leapt with joy. From then on, they lived in peace, protected by the memory of compassion. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, "In that life, I was the golden stag. Even then I gave myself so another might live. Know this, monks, compassion is the noblest strength. To protect life, even at cost to oneself, is the highest act of love." The monks bowed deeply, their eyes shining with tears. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we turn away from the suffering of others, thinking only of ourselves? The stag reminds us, compassion is not weakness. It is courage, the courage to protect, to sacrifice, to love without limit. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale courage. Exhale fear. With each breath in, imagine the golden stag standing tall, radiant, and strong. With each breath out, imagine his compassion flowing through your own heart. Breathing in, you are steady. Breathing out, you are kind. Perhaps tonight, you feel small, powerless in a world of suffering. Let this story remind you, even one act of compassion can change everything. Love is never wasted. It ripples outward, touching lives you may never see. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you are brave. Breathing out, you are free. The disciples who heard this parable remembered it always. When they faced choices between safety and compassion, they remembered the stag. And many times, they too chose love, carrying forward his spirit. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine a forest bathed in moonlight. The golden stag walks before you, his eyes gentle, his presence strong. Around him, the herd rests in safety, and beside him, you too find peace. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the seventh tale, the story of the gift of water, reminding us that even the smallest act of kindness can save a life. The gift of water. Long ago, in a dry land where the sun burned hot and the earth cracked with thirst, there lived a humble farmer. His fields were small, his hut made of mud and straw, yet his heart was vast with kindness. Each morning, he carried water from a distant well to pour upon his crops. The work was hard, but he did it with patience, whispering prayers as he walked. May this water bring life. May all who thirst find relief. One summer, the rains did not come. The rivers shrank, the ponds dried, and the well itself grew shallow. Villagers quarreled over every drop, hoarding what they could. Some grew bitter, some despairing. Yet the farmer continued his work, carrying his jars, though his own throat ached with thirst. One day, as he walked back from the well, he saw a dog collapsed on the road. Its tongue hung dry, its ribs showed through its fur, and its eyes were dull with suffering. The villagers passed by, too concerned with their own need. But the farmer stopped. He knelt beside the dog and lifted its head gently. From his jar, he poured water into his hand and let the animal drink. Slowly, life returned to its eyes. Its tail wagged faintly, and it licked his palm with gratitude. The farmer smiled. "Drink well, little one. Your life is precious too." The next day, the farmer saw a bird, wings drooping in the heat, unable to fly. Again he poured a little water upon the ground. The bird drank, fluttered its wings, and rose into the air with renewed strength. So it went. Each day, though his own family had little, the farmer shared water with the thirsty, animals, travelers, even strangers from other villages. Some laughed at him. "You are a fool," they said. "Every drop is precious. Why waste it on animals? Why give to strangers?" But the farmer only replied, "Water is life. If I hoard it, it dries in my jar. If I share it, it flows into the world." At last, the drought grew, so severe that even the king himself came to the village searching for answers. He saw the cracked fields, the weary people, the dying animals. Then he heard of the farmer who still shared water, though he had so little. Curious, the king came to him and asked, "Why do you give away what could save your own life?" The farmer bowed. "Great king, if I drink while others die, what peace could I have? If I share, perhaps I too may suffer, but my heart remains free. Better to live with kindness than to live with fear." The king was moved. He ordered new wells to be dug, canals to be built, and stores of grain to be shared. Soon, the drought was eased, and the village survived. But in every home, people remembered not the king's command, but the farmer's gift, the simple act of pouring water for the thirsty. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, "In that life, I was the farmer." Even then, I knew that no gift is too small when given with love. A drop of water offered with compassion is greater than rivers hoarded with fear. The monks bowed deeply, their hearts shining with gratitude. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we think, what I have is too little to make a difference? But the farmer reminds us, kindness is never measured by size. Even the smallest act, a smile, a gentle word, a cup of water, can save a life. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale kindness, exhale fear. With each breath in, imagine holding a clear jar of water. With each breath out, imagine pouring it gently, letting life flow into the world. Breathing in, you are nourished. Breathing out, you nourish others. Perhaps tonight, you feel that what you can offer is not enough. Let this story remind you, nothing given with love is wasted. A single drop of water can quench a great thirst. A single act of kindness can change a life. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you are generous. Breathing out, you are free. The disciples who heard this parable remembered it always. When they thought they had little, they recalled the farmer and his gift. And in that memory, they gave gladly, no matter how small the gift. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine yourself walking beneath the sun, carrying a jar of cool water. You pour it gently upon the thirsty earth, upon waiting hands, upon parched lips. And as you give, you too are refreshed. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the 8th tale, the story of the prisoner and the monk, showing us how loving kindness can free even those bound in chains. The prisoner and the monk. Long ago, in the capital of Magadha, there was a prison where men guilty of theft, violence, and betrayal were kept behind stone walls. The air there was heavy with sorrow, with anger, and with despair. Among the prisoners was one man whose name struck fear in the city. He had been a robber, a fighter, a man who showed no mercy. His body was strong, but his heart was hardened. Day after day, he cursed his fate. "The world is against me," he muttered. "There is no justice. I am chained, and I will die chained." His anger grew like fire, burning himself as much as others. One morning, a monk came to the prison gates. His robes were simple, his bowl empty, his eyes calm as still water. He asked the guards, "May I visit the prisoners? For though their bodies are bound, their hearts may still be free." The guards, curious, allowed him to enter. He walked among the cells, offering kind words, teaching simple breaths. Some laughed at him, some turned away, but he did not mind. He simply radiated metta, a steady stream of kindness, without demand. When he came to the hardened prisoner, the man spat on the ground and growled, "Why waste your time on me? My life is finished. I am nothing but anger." The monk looked at him gently and said, "No one is beyond kindness. Even you deserve peace." The prisoner scoffed, "Peace? These chains are my life. There is no peace for me." The monk smiled softly. "Chains bind the body, not the heart. Close your eyes. Breathe with me." The prisoner resisted, but the calm of the monk was like cool rain upon fire. At last, he closed his eyes. "Breathe in," the monk whispered. "Breathe out. As you breathe, think, may I be happy? May I be free from suffering?" The prisoner muttered angrily at first, but he repeated the words. Slowly, something shifted. For the first time in years, he felt not anger, but a spark of gentleness for himself. Then the monk said, "Now think of your mother, your father, those who once cared for you. Say, may they be happy. May they be free from suffering." The prisoner's voice trembled. Memories stirred of childhood, of hands that once held him, of love long forgotten. Tears filled his eyes. Day after day, the monk returned. Each time, the prisoner practiced a little more. From himself to his family, to strangers, even to his enemies, he extended metta. His heart, once hard as stone, softened like soil in rain. One day, when the king came to inspect the prison, he saw the man who had been feared by all, now, sitting calmly, eyes closed, whispering blessings. The king asked, astonished, "What has happened to you?" The prisoner bowed and said, "A monk showed me that chains cannot bind the heart. I was once ruled by anger. Now I know kindness. Even in prison, I am free." The king, moved by his transformation, pardoned him. A man who has found peace is no longer a danger. Go and live as a free man. From that day, the prisoner became a follower of the Buddha's path, sharing kindness where once he had spread fear. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, "In that life, I was the monk. Even then, I taught that loving kindness can free even those bound in chains. Hatred imprisons us. Love sets us free." The monks bowed deeply, their hearts filled with reverence. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we feel trapped? Not by iron bars, but by anger, regret, or fear. The prisoner reminds us, even when life binds us, the heart can be free. Metta is the key. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale freedom. Exhale anger. With each breath in, imagine chains loosening from your heart. With each breath out, imagine kindness flowing outward to all beings. Breathing in, you are free. Breathing out, you bring peace. Perhaps tonight, you feel bound by old wounds or heavy burdens. Let this story remind you, your heart is never imprisoned. You hold the power to set yourself free. With each breath of kindness, rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you soften. Breathing out, you are free. The disciples who heard this parable carried it always. When they felt trapped by anger or fear, they remembered the prisoner. They breathed, they forgave, and they found freedom in metta. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine a dark prison cell slowly filling with light. The chains dissolve, the walls fade, and in that space of freedom, you rest, safe and at peace. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the 9th tale, the story of the farmer and the birds, teaching us that kindness given to the smallest beings returns as blessings beyond measure. The farmer and the birds. Long ago, in a quiet village surrounded by rolling hills and golden fields, there lived a humble farmer. His life was simple. Each morning he rose before dawn, plowed his fields, sowed seeds, and prayed for rain. Though his body was weary from work, his heart was gentle. He was known not for wealth or strength, but for his kindness. One year, after sowing his seeds, flocks of birds came down upon his fields. They pecked eagerly at the grains, carrying them away in their beaks. The other farmers cursed the birds, shouting and throwing stones. Some set traps. Some even killed the birds, fearing their harvest would vanish. But this farmer did not. He stood at the edge of his field, watching the hungry birds. Then he sighed softly and said, "You too must eat to live. If my seeds bring life to you, let it be so. There will be enough for all." And so each morning he scattered a handful of grain at the edge of the field. The birds gathered there, chirping with joy, leaving the rest of his crops in peace. The other farmers mocked him. "You are a fool. You waste precious grain on birds. You will starve while they feast." But the farmer only smiled. What is given with kindness is never wasted. The months passed and the rains came. The farmer's fields grew tall and green, while the other's crops, though planted with anger and guarded with fear, grew thin and weak. When harvest came, the farmer's yield was abundant. His barn overflowed, while many neighbors faced scarcity. They came to him in shame, asking for help. He gave freely, saying, "As the birds ate from my field, so may you." There is enough for all. That winter, when food was scarce and frost covered the land, the flocks of birds returned. But this time, they carried seeds in their beaks. They dropped them upon the farmer's land as though offering thanks. In spring, new shoots rose, fruit trees, wild herbs, flowers unknown to the village before. His land became more fertile than ever, nourished by unexpected gifts. The people marveled. Truly, his kindness has returned to him in blessings. From then on, many began scattering grain for the birds, remembering the farmer's example. The Buddha looked at his disciples and said, "In that life, I was the farmer." Even then, I knew that metta never diminishes. What is given returns in ways unseen. A handful of kindness may blossom into fields of joy. The monks bowed, their hearts shining with faith. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we hold tightly to what we have, fearing there will not be enough? Yet the farmer reminds us, when we give with love, life gives back in abundance. It may not always be in the way we expect, but kindness never disappears. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale generosity. Exhale fear. With each breath in, imagine scattering seeds upon the earth. With each breath out, imagine those seeds growing into fields of peace. Breathing in, you are nourished. Breathing out, you nourish others. Perhaps tonight, you feel that you have little to offer. Let this story remind you, even the smallest gift, when given with love, is enough. A seed, a smile, a kind word. These are grains that grow into forests of compassion. Rest here in this truth. Breathing in, you are abundant. Breathing out, you are free. The disciples who heard this parable remembered it always. When they feared scarcity, they recalled the farmer. When they doubted the power of small acts, they remembered the birds and the gifts they returned. And in their lives, they too gave freely, trusting in the endless cycle of compassion. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine yourself in golden fields beneath the wide sky. Birds gather near, singing softly, not in hunger, but in gratitude. Around you, the earth is fertile, generous, alive, and in that abundance, you rest, safe and at peace. Now, dear friend, let us continue. Ahead lies the 10th tale, the story of the Buddha and the sick monk, teaching us that to care for the ill is to care for the Buddha himself. The Buddha and the sick monk. Long ago, during the Buddha's lifetime, there was a great monastery near the city of Rajagaha. Hundreds of monks lived there, walking the path of practice, meditating in forests, studying the Dhamma, and supporting each other in community. But as in all communities, there were moments of weakness. And one such moment gave rise to a teaching of metta that endures through the ages. Among the monks was one who fell gravely ill. At first, it was only a fever, but soon his body grew frail, and sores spread across his skin. He was too weak to walk, too weak even to rise from his bed. His robes were soiled, his body unwashed. The other monks, overwhelmed by their own duties, began to avoid him. Some thought, he is suffering from bad karma. Others thought, he is too sick, I cannot care for him. So little by little, he was left alone. Lying on his thin mat, the monk whispered to himself, I am a burden. Even my brothers have abandoned me. His heart sank into despair. One morning, the Buddha entered the monastery. He saw the sick monk lying unattended, weak and helpless. His eyes, always calm, now shone with deep compassion. The Buddha went to him, knelt beside him, and spoke softly, Dear one, why are you lying here alone? The monk, ashamed, whispered, Lord, I am ill. My body is foul. I am no use to anyone. No one tends to me. The Buddha's heart ached, not with judgment, but with boundless metta. He said, Dear one, do not think you are worthless. Whoever tends the sick tends to me. Whoever cares for you cares for the Dhamma. Then, to the astonishment of the monastery, the Buddha himself brought water and cloth. Gently, he bathed the monk, washing away the dirt and sores with his own hands. He cleaned the bedding, replaced his robes, and gave him food with kindness. The disciples who saw this were moved to silence. Some bowed in shame, realizing how they had turned away. The Buddha looked at them and said, Monks, you have no mother or father to care for you. If you do not care for one another, who will? Whoever would serve me, let him serve the sick. The words sank deep. From that day, the monks remembered, to care for the ill is not a burden, but an honor. For it is the practice of compassion itself. The sick monk restored not only by medicine but by love, wept with gratitude. Lord, your kindness has healed not only my body, but my heart. The Buddha smiled gently. Metta is the medicine of all medicines. Without kindness, no cure is complete. With kindness, even suffering is eased. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we avoid those who suffer because it is unpleasant, because it is difficult, because we feel helpless? Yet the Buddha reminds us to care for the sick, the weary, the forgotten, is to care for him. Loving kindness is not an idea, but an action, a touch, a word, a presence. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale kindness. Exhale indifference. With each breath in, imagine the Buddha kneeling beside you, gentle and serene. With each breath out, imagine yourself kneeling beside another, offering care. Breathing in, you are cared for. Breathing out, you care for others. Perhaps tonight, you remember times when you felt abandoned, or times when you turned away from another's pain. Let this story remind you, compassion is always possible. You are never too small, too weak, or too late to offer love. Even a cup of water, even a soft word, can heal more than you know. The disciples who heard this parable carried it always. When they found a fellow monk ill, they did not shrink away. They washed him, fed him, comforted him, knowing they were serving the Buddha himself. And so, the monastery became not only a place of study, but a place of metta, where no one was abandoned and all were embraced in kindness. Now, dear friend, let us rest more deeply with this story. Close your eyes. Feel the weight of the day slip away. Imagine yourself lying upon a soft bed, weary and weak. Then imagine the Buddha entering, calm and radiant. He kneels beside you, touches your hand, and whispers, "You are not alone. You are loved. You are safe." His presence is warm, his kindness infinite. He washes your wounds, soothes your pain, and you feel peace flowing through your body like cool water. Breathe with him now. Inhale love. Exhale fear. Inhale peace. Exhale pain. Inhale rest. Exhale surrender. Each breath is medicine. Each breath is metta. As you sink deeper, imagine yourself transformed. From the one being cared for, you become the one who cares. You walk into a room where someone lies ill. You kneel beside them, bathe their wounds, and whisper, "You are not alone. You are loved. You are safe. In giving, you receive. In serving, you are healed." So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine a quiet monastery under the stars. In one humble room, the Buddha kneels by a sick monk, washing his sores with gentle hands. The air is still, the night soft. Compassion fills every corner. In that compassion, you rest. In that compassion, you are free. The Buddha taught, Metta is boundless. It asks nothing, yet it gives everything. Just as the body needs food, the heart needs kindness. Offer it freely, and you will never be poor. And with these words, dear friend, we close the 10th tale. Ahead lies the 11th, the story of the old dog by the road, showing us that even the smallest creature can awaken our greatest compassion. The old dog by the road. Long ago, in a quiet village resting at the edge of forest and field, there was a dusty road. Travelers came and went along this path. Merchants with their carts, monks with their bowls, farmers with their oxen. By the side of this road, beneath the shade of a crumbling wall, lay an old dog. His fur, once sleek, was now patchy and dull. His eyes were clouded with age, his legs stiff and trembling. He had once been the guardian of a household, running joyfully to meet his master, barking at strangers, wagging his tail with pride. But years had passed, and his strength had faded. When he grew too slow to guard the gate, his family cast him out. He is useless now, they said. He eats but cannot serve. And so the old dog was left to wander. At last, too weak to walk far, he curled beside the road. Day by day, he lay there. Some villagers passed without a glance. Some threw stones to chase him away. Others pitied him, but did nothing. His belly ached with hunger. His throat burned with thirst. But more than that, his heart ached with loneliness. One morning, as the sun rose and the village stirred, a traveler walked the road. He was a monk, clad in simple robes, his bowl empty, his eyes gentle. As he passed, he saw the old dog lying in the dust, ribs showing, tail limp. He stopped. Kneeling beside the dog, he reached out his hand. The dog lifted his head slightly, expecting another blow. But the monk's hand was soft, stroking gently behind his ears. "Poor one," the monk whispered, "you are tired. You are hungry. You are not worthless. Your life, too, is precious." From his bowl, he poured a little water into his palm and held it to the dog's mouth. The dog lapped slowly, each drop reviving him. Then the monk placed some crumbs of bread before him. The old tail wagged faintly, and for the first time in many days, the dog felt not fear, but care. The monk sat with him a long while, sheltering him from the heat, stroking his head, speaking words of kindness. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you find rest. The villagers, seeing this, gathered. Some said, "Why waste compassion on a useless dog? Save your care for people." But the monk replied, "This dog has known loyalty, has given love, has suffered neglect. His life is as dear to him as yours is to you. Loving kindness does not choose. It flows to all beings." Moved by his words, one villager brought a bowl of rice. Another fetched fresh water. Soon the old dog had food, drink, and shelter. Though his days were few, he lived them in peace, surrounded at last by kindness. The Buddha, recalling this, told his disciples, "In that life, I was the monk. Even then, I knew that metta extends to all, human or animal, strong or weak, young or old. Do not think compassion is wasted on the small. In truth, no act of kindness is ever wasted." The monks bowed, their hearts softened. Dear friend, this story is also for us. How often do we turn away from what seems small, weak, or unworthy? How often do we say, "This life does not matter"? Yet the Buddha reminds us, every life matters. Every creature, no matter how frail, longs for safety, for comfort, for love. When we extend kindness to even the smallest beings, our hearts grow vast, wide as the sky. Now, dear friend, let us pause together. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale compassion. Exhale indifference. With each breath in, imagine the old dog resting safely at your side. With each breath out, imagine your kindness flowing to him like cool water. Breathing in, you are gentle. Breathing out, you are kind. Perhaps tonight, you feel small, or forgotten, or weary like that old dog. Let this story remind you, you too are worthy of love. You too deserve rest. And perhaps tomorrow, you will see someone or some creature who seems small or overlooked. Remember, a cup of water, a touch of care, a single moment of compassion may mean everything. The disciples who heard this parable carried it always. When they saw an animal, they did not turn away. When they saw a beggar, they did not ignore. They remembered the dog by the road, and they chose kindness. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine yourself walking a quiet road. By the side, beneath the shade, an old dog rests. You kneel beside him, offer water, and his eyes soften with peace. The village is calm, the sun warm, and your heart vast with compassion. In that compassion, you rest. In that compassion, you are free. The Buddha taught, Metta is without boundary. It asks not who is worthy. It asks only who suffers, and to that suffering it brings peace. And so, dear friend, we end the 11th tale. Ahead lies the 12th, the Boundless Metta meditation, where the Buddha himself teaches us how to extend love to all beings without end. The Boundless Metta meditation. One evening, as the sun sank low and the sky glowed with shades of gold and crimson, the Buddha gathered his disciples upon a quiet hill. The air was still, the birds were settling into their nests, and the first stars began to shine. The monks sat in silence, waiting, their robes rustling softly in the breeze. The Buddha looked upon them with eyes of deep compassion. His voice, calm and steady, carried across the hilltop, "Monks, tonight I will teach you the meditation of boundless metta. It is a practice that softens hatred, heals wounds, and brings peace beyond measure. Just as the mother loves her only child, even at the risk of her life, so too should you extend loving kindness to all beings, without exception, without limit." The monks bowed deeply. The Buddha continued, "Begin with yourself. Sit upright. Let your breath be gentle. Think, may I be happy? May I be safe? May I be free from suffering? Do not speak the words with the tongue only, but with the heart. Feel them as a warmth rising in your chest, spreading like sunlight. As the monks breathed, the Buddha guided them further. When your own heart is steady, extend this love to one who is dear to you, a friend, a teacher, a companion. Think, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you be free from suffering. Let your heart rest in the joy of their well-being. Next, extend this love to a stranger, someone you do not know well. Imagine their face. Know that they too long for safety, for peace, for happiness. Think, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you be free from suffering. And then, extend this love even to those you dislike, those who have harmed you, those whose words or actions bring pain. Remember, hatred is heavy, anger burns. But when you send them metta, you free yourself as much as them. Think, may you be happy, may you be safe, may you be free from suffering. The monks sat still, their breath deepening, their hearts softening. The Buddha's voice grew even gentler. Now, let your love expand outward like ripples in a pond. To all beings in this village, to all beings in this land, to all beings in this world. See the sky filled with countless stars, and know that each light is a life, longing for peace. To each send this wish: may you be happy, may you be safe, may you be free from suffering. Do not stop at the world you know. Let your heart encompass the 10 directions, the north and the south, the east and the west, above and below, without boundary. Like a fire that warms all without asking, like rain that falls freely on every field, let your metta flow without end. The night deepened, the stars multiplied. The monks sat as though bathed in a sea of light, their hearts wide, their faces serene. The Buddha closed his eyes and whispered, as though to the universe itself, "May all beings be free. May all beings be safe. May all beings be happy." Dear friend, this story is also for us. You may not sit upon a hill with the Buddha, but you sit here now, breathing, listening. And this practice is yours too. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale peace, exhale fear. With each breath in, think gently, may I be happy, may I be safe, may I be free from suffering. With each breath out, extend the same wish to another. May you be happy, may you be safe, may you be free from suffering. Breathing in, you love yourself. Breathing out, you love the world. Perhaps tonight you feel heavy with sorrow or restless with worry. Let this practice soothe you. You need not solve everything. You need only breathe, only wish well, only open your heart. As you rest here, imagine your heart glowing like a lantern. At first, it lights only your own body. Then it spreads, lighting your room, your home, your town, your world. At last, it touches every being, every star, every corner of the universe. All are embraced. None are excluded. The Buddha's disciples carried this practice all their lives. When anger rose, they breathed metta. When fear came, they breathed metta. When loneliness touched them, they breathed metta. And in doing so, they found peace that no wealth, no power, no pleasure could equal. So tonight, let this story cradle you. Imagine yourself upon that quiet hill, the stars bright above, the Buddha beside you, his presence calm and infinite. Around you sit countless beings, all breathing together, all sending metta to one another. The night is vast, but your heart is vaster still. In that vastness, you rest. In that vastness, you are free. The Buddha taught, radiate boundless love to the entire world, above, below, and across, unhindered, without enmity, without ill will. Just as a mother would guard her only child with her life, so should you cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. And so, dear friend, we close the 12th tale. It is not merely a story, but a practice, one you can carry into your sleep, into your dreams, into your life. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. Rest now in metta. Rest in love without end. Dear friend, we have now reached the end of our journey through the 12 stories of metta. Together, we have walked a path lit by kindness, where every tale was a lantern, guiding us deeper into the heart. We saw the raging elephant bowed by compassion, a mother's love that asked for nothing in return, a bandit transformed by mercy, a tree giving shade without question, and quarrels stilled by peace. We walked with a golden stag who gave his life, a farmer who shared with birds, a prisoner freed not by chains breaking, but by kindness awakening. We watched the Buddha himself tend the sick. We knelt beside an old dog, restored by care, and at last we learned the boundless meditation of metta, love without end, love that reaches all directions, above and below, near and far. Each story was simple, yet each carried a truth as vast as the sky. Love is not weakness, but the greatest strength. Compassion is not a burden, but the deepest freedom. And kindness, even in the smallest act, ripples outward beyond what we can see. Metta is not only an idea, not only a word, it is a practice, a way of living. It is the gentle thought. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be free from suffering. This thought costs nothing. It requires no wealth, no power, and yet it transforms everything. It softens anger, eases fear, and heals loneliness. It flows like sunlight across the world, touching all without judgment. And within you, dear friend, metta is already alive. Even now, as you breathe, it rises and falls with the rhythm of your chest. So let us rest in this practice one more time. Take a slow, deep breath in and release it softly. Again, inhale peace. Exhale tension. Breathing in, whisper silently, "May I be happy. May I be safe. May I be free from suffering." Breathing out, whisper, "May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. With each breath, your heart grows wider. With each breath, your kindness flows farther. At first, it fills your body, soothing every ache. Then it spreads through your room, calming the air around you. Then it reaches your loved ones, your neighbors, strangers in distant lands. At last, it embraces all beings, humans and animals, strong and weak, seen and unseen. The whole universe rests within your heart, bathed in loving kindness. Perhaps worries still stir in your mind like ripples upon a pond. Let them fade. You do not need to solve everything tonight. You do not need to carry every burden. In this moment, you need only breathe, only rest, only love. You are safe. You are cared for. You are not alone. The Buddha once said, just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, so should one cultivate a boundless heart toward all beings. Tonight, you have heard stories of this boundless heart. And as you sleep, those seeds of metta will rest within you, quietly growing. In time, they will bloom in your words, in your actions, in your dreams. So, dear friend, let sleep come gently. Let kindness be your pillow. Let peace be your blanket. Let love be the quiet room in which you rest. Breathing in, you are whole. Breathing out, you are free. Breathing in, you are loved. Breathing out, you love. Now close your eyes. The stories are finished. The journey is complete. There is nothing more to do, nowhere more to go. Only this moment, only this breath, only this peace. Rest now in metta. Rest in kindness without end. Rest in love that is infinite. Good night, dear friend. May you be happy. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering.